Today we'll be continuing on this topic of essentialism. Today I'll be helping you guys become better essentialists and talking about, a concept that you can use to say no and ways that can help you become a better essentialist. But before we go any further, please subscribe, like, and comment this video. It helps to let more people see it, and I appreciate your help. Alright, so continuing with this concept of essentialism and becoming essentialist that I was talking about, one of the most important words for you to become an essentialist is to be able to say no. I believe this is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself. You have to be able to say no, and you have to be able to say no in your life, no in your work life, no even to yourself. Because as an essentialist, your life is only driven by things that are essential, things that help you do and live the life that you want to live. We live in a world full of abundant resources and abundant things that can happen, but limited time and limited resources in the concept of things like money that we have and the ability of us to do certain things. So you have to put yourself in a position whereby you are able to say, no, I cannot do that. No, I will not be coming to that party. No, I cannot be your girlfriend. No, I cannot be your boyfriend. No, I'm not interested. I do not have time. How often, I don't know where you live, you guys. I live in Vancouver, and sometimes when you go downtown, when you're walking to go downtown, there are these guys that stop you when you're walking, and they're like, hi, can I have your time? Can I have 5 minutes of your time? I want to tell you about Plan International or some weird organization that they represent that does good things for different people. And you give them the 2 minutes or 5 minutes that they ask for, but it turns out into 30 minutes, and by the time they are done with you, you are left with 10 minutes to go where you were supposed to go. Now you are late, now you are running, and now you're stressed out. But you could have saved yourself all that problem by just saying no. Hi, can I have your time? No. Please, no. I do not have time to talk to you. Respect me, please, because no means no. And what this does is it helps you to free yourself up and to be able to go to where you were going and not feel ashamed. When you get there, you have to be very disciplined. And the other person that you have to learn to say no to is yourself, especially if you want to be an essentialist. Because here's the thing of why essentialism matters and why we miss out on it, right? It's because we have this concept of you can do anything and you can be anything. But the truth is, you cannot do anything and you cannot be anything. You cannot do everything. You can do some things, and you have to choose. You have to go into the concept of I have a choice, and I can choose 5 things that I'm going to do that are most important to me. I do these 5 things for whatever reasons you tell yourself. I cannot tell you that. You tell yourself, these are the 5 things that I'm going to do. I don't care about the rest of them. So for example, if you decide, I'm going to buy a car. I'm going to buy a car. I'm going to save, $500 every month to buy this car for the next 10 months or 2 years or whatever amount of time you're giving yourself. And then someone comes to you and says, hey, I have an opportunity for you. I have an opportunity for you to make more money. If you give me that money that you are saving, we can put it in this business and we can make more money. Then you're able to buy your car and have more money left. You should be in a position to say no to that person because that opportunity goes against what you set out to achieve. It's not essential for you to start a business in order to make more money, because that was never your goal. And what tends to happen a lot of times is when you give someone that money, things rarely go according to plan, right? Really go according to how someone assumed the business was going to go, because there's always risk. And when you lose that money, come that time, like after the year that you could have waited and have saved your money to buy the car that you always wanted, you don't have it because you couldn't say no. So the concept of becoming an essentialist is also about understanding and knowing that no means no, right? And I'll always take you guys back to 2020. What happened was the governments were like, we are now restricting non-essential travel. So if you're coming to Canada on a non-essential trip, you will not be allowed into the country. Flights were grounded and people couldn't fly in, because when you came, you were told to go back, or you were not allowed into the airspace at all because it was a non-essential travel. Only essential travel was allowed, supply chains and all that stuff. That's all that was allowed. The rest, like I'm going for a tourist visit, was not allowed because it's not an essential thing. It's not an important thing. We can say, the government would say yes because tourists bring in money, they bring in, they help the economy, but that travel wasn't essential and wasn't important. They had to be able and willing to say no. The opportunity is there, but you cannot be driven by the desire of acquiring more. You have to be driven by a certain thing. Like, I want this thing. This is my goal. This is what I want to achieve. Whilst that, yes, it means losing out on other things, but what that does at the end of the day, you are able to go to a car dealer and buy your car and walk out and not pay attention to everything else. It's good to be in a position where you say, I'm willing to miss out. And these days we live in a world where people tell us about fear of missing out. No, there is no such thing. There is no fear of missing out. There's lack of discipline, the lack of willingness to say no. So this video will not be beneficial to you if I didn't give you some tips of how to say no. If you want to learn how to say no in your life, especially if you are a people pleaser, here are like 7 things that you can try today. The first thing is just say it. Say no. Hi, can I please have your phone number? No. Why do you want to call me? We just met. No. If you're not comfortable with any situation, you can say no. And if someone means important things to you, you can give them, a reason. No, I don't want you to call me because I don't feel comfortable talking to you. Sounds harsh, but it helps. The second thing is you have to be assertive and curious. You might say, I'm sorry, I can't right now, but we'll let you know when and if I can. This type of approach is polite and it puts you in a position of power by shifting and changing the dynamic. You are taking charge and telling people that you will let them know when and if you can. Another example is, I appreciate you asking me for help, but I'm stretched too thin right now to devote the time to be of quality help to you. So now you've told someone, listen, you have work, you have a task that you're supposed to do, and then someone comes and says, I'm adding another task to you. You have to be able to say no, because I cannot do it. I want to finish this. After I've done this, then I can do that. I'm not a machine. I'm not, people always go with, you should multitask. No, I don't have to multitask. I have to single task, finish a task, and then move to the next task. That's what brings value and makes you a quality employee, the ability to finish things. And the worst part is, when you look at it, people want you to do a lot of work, but if things don't go how they want it, they still blame you, right? The second thing is you have to understand people's tactics. Many people and organizations use manipulation tactics, whether knowingly or not. For example, think about when you get a solicitation for a donation, like we just said, to a charity, and their first option. Would you like to donate $10, $20, $30, or X amount? Most people donate $20. How much would you like to donate? This is a form of someone pressurizing you into doing something. Like, most people donate $20. Man, what? What does that have to do with me? So you have to understand that, like, someone is putting pressure on me, Someone will be like, oh, but it's your nephew who wants to talk to you. You don't have the time. You are busy with something. Tell them, no, I love my nephew, but I'll talk to him when I'm free to talk to him. I don't wanna. And the worst thing with talking with kids, we don't want them to see you under pressure, right? So you have to be willing to say no. The other thing that you have to do moving forward, especially as you're becoming an essentialist, is to set boundaries. So it's very hard to say no when you don't have boundaries. So for example, if I come and ask you for money and you give me, and you keep giving and you keep giving, it's going to become impossible for you to say no, because I expect you to give me money every time. So here's what this guy say. People sometimes have a hard time saying no because they haven't taken the time to evaluate the relationships and understand their role within the relationship. When you truly understand the dynamic and your role, you won't feel as worried about the consequence of saying no. You will realize that your relationship is solid and can withstand you saying no, especially with family. You are my family, whether you say no today or tomorrow, man. Tomorrow you're still going to be my brother and you're still going to be my sister. So always understand that you don't have to do things to impress the people who love you. They love you because of you. They love you regardless. They love you actually because you say no and you are disciplined. And another tactic that you can use is put the question back on the person asking. So this is highly effective in a work situation. Let's say a supervisor is asking you to take on several tasks that you can handle. You might say, I'm happy to do X and Y and Z. However, I'll need 3 weeks rather than 2 to do a good job. How would you like me to prioritize them? What you're doing there is putting it back to them, because the same supervisor was like, I need you to do 15 things. You tell them what you want me to do, because I'm a human being. Yes, I'm multitasked, but I'm a human being. So you choose a priority for the work that you want me to do. The sixth thing is you really need to be firm, especially if you're saying no. Be firm. Don't get caught up in people's if someone can't accept your no, then the person is probably not a true friend or doesn't respect you. Stand firm and don't feel compelled to give in just because that person is uncomfortable. This one, it really applies, and I've been on the other side of where a person is saying no, but it was very hard for me to take it, especially in my case, whereby I really liked this girl and she was like no, and the thing with me was I was really into this guy. I was like, man, I can't take it. But at the end of the day, our relationship ended up ending because I couldn't take that no, and I didn't respect her as a person, and I lost a beautiful friendship there. But it taught me a valid lesson that I wasn't a genuine person to her, I wasn't a genuine friend. I had other intentions, and my intentions would never allow me to be a friend, because my intention was for her, my girlfriend. And when she said no, for her, that was the proof that she needed that I was not the right person to be in her life, and lesson learned. And so you have to be firm when you say no, especially to people who don't respect that. And if they continue, at some point you might have to question the relationship. Like, man, I don't think you respect me, and I don't think you respect my time. The seventh thing is be selfish. I know this one is hard for a lot of you, because when someone says be selfish, you start to think of how we've been told you should not be selfish. But here's how this one works. You have to put your needs first, not those of the person asking you for something. If you prioritize that person's needs over yours, you will find your productivity will suffer and resentment will mount. Perhaps we can learn from Warren Buffett, who says, the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. So when you look at successful relationships, successful couples, it's not that those people, if she's a beautiful girl, she's obviously getting asked out by almost every guy. But in order for her to be in a successful relationship, she has to be willing to say no to every man approaching her. For that guy, he has to be willing to say no to every woman approaching him, or whenever he has desires outside of his relationship. You have to be willing to say no. And we take this back to your goals. You have to be willing to say no. If you have a goal, I want to do this, you have to say no to everything else that we said in the beginning. You have to be willing to say no to everything that takes you away from what you set out to achieve, and especially if it doesn't help you achieve those things. So please, guys, as we become essentialists and as we start to choose to do the essential things, we need to be able to say no. And we saw this with our countries that we live in. When they shut down the borders, there was opportunities for them to make money, but they say no. And we also have to be willing to say no in our lives, because that helps us free time and free ourselves to be in better positions. So please, the one thing that I do ask you not to say no to is subscribing, commenting, and leaving a like. If you find value in these videos, please help me out by subscribing and leaving a like and a comment. It helps with the YouTube engines and the technology inside there, which I don't really know much about, but anyway, thank you so much for your support and thank you for watching. Peace.